Welcome to Ole Walls House. It's me. It's your man. It's your main man and your host, Ole Walls. Back with you guys for episode 126 of Ole Walls House. Got a fun show coming your way. We're talking some baseball. We're talking golf. We got another episode, another segment of OWH Albums, and just a loaded passing thoughts where you're going to hear me complain and bitch and moan and have a good time. So, fun stuff coming. As always, a little housekeeping if you could you please rate, review, comment, subscribe, and share. If you're looking for 20% off Liquid IV, get it while you can. That promotion is about to run out. All the good flavors, more electrolytes than your leading sports drinks, double the hydration than water alone. Promo code is OWH at liquidiv.com or in the link in the show notes below. So without any further ado, let's get into the show. Another week in the book for the Cleveland Guardians. Wasn't exactly what we were looking for this week. A 3-3 week dating back to Monday. Only get one out of the Rockies. Some high scoring affairs out there. A 6-8 loss on Monday. A 13-7 win in a game where David Fry hits a home run, Jose Ramirez hits a home run, and Josh Naylor hits two. And then give away one on Wednesday for a 7-4 loss. But bounce back when the first two games of the series against the Nationals on Friday and Saturday, and then dump one yesterday on Sunday. So again, a 3-3 week. It could always be worse. But with those teams, you were wanting to see 4-2, maybe 5-1, 6-0 would have been awesome. I mean, let's not get carried away, but. It would have been really nice. I think that's still 12 of the last 15. So across their last 10, they would be 7-3. So not terrible. 78 run differential, which is pretty good. Second best differential in the American League, and only fourth overall behind the Dodgers, the Yankees, and then the Philadelphia Phillies. All pretty darn good teams who are all leading their divisions by a number of games here. So, like I said, it could have been a lot worse. But there's a big week coming up again. It feels like every week's a big week when you're a team that's putting together some wins, and it feels like you really want to bank a bunch of them, as many as you can, so that if it gets to September, you're not just in a dogfight coming home to win the division. I don't know what the wild card looks like. Let me pull up the standings here. Does the standing this one doesn't show the wild card, which is annoying. The one on if you just Google it, so I got to look at my phone here. The Kansas City Royals are 2 games up in the wild card. So hypothetically, if you're just looking at if they're the rundown Cleveland, the Royals are 2 games up on the final spot, and then the Twins hold the final spot by 3.5 games. So there's a 5.5 game cushion with the 2 teams chasing Cleveland in the division. So the AL Central, kind of weirdly a pretty strong division. They have 3 teams above 500. That is best in the AL at the moment. Over in the NL, are there any? That is the only league in Major League Baseball with 3 teams above 500. So it looks to be at what could be a tough division. So want to bank as many games against the bad teams as you can, and then, just not get blown out. Don't lose a bunch of series against the other teams that are more competitive. Speaking of the more competitive teams, we got one of those teams coming to town. As I record this on Monday, the Guardians are off. So Tuesday, they start a home series with the Kansas City Royals. The Royals, who are just 4 games back. I mean, that can change very quickly if they get swept. You win 2 games here and expand that lead out to 5. It's pretty nice. You find a way to get the sweep and, expand it out to 7. Woo, mama. That's what we're talking about. And then after that, they head down Friday to Miami to play the Marlins before going over to Cincinnati for a little 2-game interleague series there. So the Marlins are terrible. The Marlins currently before any games finish on Monday, are an abysmal 21-39, 20 games back of the Phillies in the NL East. They are 5-5 in their last 10, so have been a little better than average here for him. But Cleveland's home win streak was actually just broken. I believe they'd won 9 in a row at home before losing this weekend. But there are plenty of things about Cleveland to be optimistic about. Number one, Stephen Kwan is back in the lineup. He got himself a couple hits this weekend. He still leads the league in 3-hit games despite missing a whole month of the season already. We're only really, maybe a quarter months into the season. And Stephen Kwan, despite missing a whole month, leads the league in 3-hit games. So that's pretty cool. Jose Ramirez is leading the major leagues in RBIs. He's also up there in home runs. He's 6th overall in home runs. Josh Naylor, despite going through kind of some woes right now at the plate, is 7th in home runs in all of Major League Baseball with 15. Jose's batting average has come up to 272. That had been hovering a little lower. Unfortunately, Josh Naylor, 227 on the batting average, but he's still like a top 20 RBI guy too, I think. Click RBIs. Yeah, Josh, the top 10 RBI guy. So 2 of the top 10 RBI producers in Major League Baseball are betting 3-4 in the Cleveland lineup. And then kind of one, I've mentioned a little bit, David Fry had an incredibly productive month of May. He is leading the major league in OPS with a minimum of, you have to have a minimum of 100 plate appearances to qualify for this. David Fry, this was as of Friday. So, Friday! This was as of Friday. He had an OPS of 1.114. Next best is Aaron Judge at 1.020, and then Shohei Ohtani 1.010, and then Juan Soto 0.999. So some hammers that he's included with in there, and he leads them all. And if you break it out to 120 plate appearances, he still stays at number 1, which is awesome. He finished the month of May with a 383 average, a 513 on-base percentage, scored 19 runs, 7 home runs. In the history of the Cleveland Guardians/Indians franchise, there have only been 3 other players to do that in a single month. Manny Ramirez in September of 1999, I think that was the year he had like 160-some RBIs. Jim Thome in August of 96. And Albert Bell in May of 1994. And I believe that was the strike year that Cleveland was just absolutely piss-pounding the baseball, and then the year was unable to be finished. So there's a lot of good to talk about with Cleveland. There's a good vibe. It seems like the team is playing well. They brought up, what's his name? Daniel Sheeman? Let me pull this back up. I think that's his first name. Yes, Daniel Sheeman came up and played on Sunday. The very first pitch he saw, he ripped a 2-run, 2 RBI double, a 2-run double out into right field. So he comes up. He's an older gentleman, I believe. He's 27 years old. He was playing second base for us on Sunday. He's a utility player, is kind of what they call him. He was originally selected in the 33rd round, the 1,003rd selection of the Cleveland Guardians that year. So he's been hitting it pretty well in Columbus, 294 with 10 home runs and 39 RBIs across 53 games. So he was brought up and produced. He was responsible for the only 2 runs on Sunday. So, like I said, not the greatest week for Cleveland, but there's plenty to be optimistic about as we move forward. All right, let's go on to the next. Big Bob McIntyre brings home the win at the Canadian Open. They played at Hamilton Golf and Country Club. They rotate the Canadian Open around. He holds off Ben Griffin, who is in second. Victor Perez shoots a final round of 6 under. Tom Kim was back at 13 under. He shoots a final round 6 under, as does Rory McIlroy to round out the top 5. My pick for the week, Corey Connors, final round 5 under to kind of get back in contention. And this thing looked weird for Big Bob at a couple different points. He led by as many as 4 at a couple of different points throughout the round and ends up winning by just a single shot. Let me see if I can pull up his scorecard here for real quick. Some interesting things happen for Big Bob out there. First of all, very cool that he wins with his father on the bag. Did not have his regular caddy. I don't exactly remember why, but he didn't have his regular caddy, and his father stepped in. Yeah, so he starts off with a bogey on the first hole, then makes a 3 more birdies to finish out the 9, and then I believe it was after that birdie on 11 that he got up by 4. I think it got to 2, or did it get down to 1 after he made back-to-back bogeys on 12 and 13? But he comes back on 15, answers with a birdie when he really needed one, and is able to hold off and get the win. Is this his first win on the PGA Tour? I think it might be. I'm trying to pull it up here if it ever lets me. Yes, his first win on the PGA Tour. He has a couple of European Tour wins, and I believe he finished second at the Scottish Open to Rory McIlroy last year because Rory hit that incredible shot in. But yeah, he'd won the DS Automobiles Italian Open back in September of 2022, and in November of 2020, he won the Aphrodite Hills Cyprus Showdown, which was a one-round event. So basically his second win on the big tours. He also won a MENA Golf Tour event. He's lost a couple playoffs on the Challenge Tour, but pair this up with a pretty good showing at the PGA, a T8, and a guy coming off a Ryder Cup appearance last year had spoke to how that has made him feel very comfortable coming out of that, and gave him some confidence. He will not escape today without a little criticism. He was thrown like a hissy fit because there was like a drone around him. And even Jim Nance was kind of saying like, hey man, like if you're going to find yourself in contention, which it seems like you're going to have to deal with the fact that drones are out there. And, it seemed like the drone went away. And, there's a lot of people on golf Twitter and in the golf media world and, golf fans, they're saying, hey, give us more drone shots. Like it's cool. It adds something to the broadcast. So I got to agree with my man Jimmy here. Like, if you're going to be upset at the fact that drones are following you around when you're leading a tournament, that's a tough look, man. And he was kind of whiny about it. He's like, if it comes back, I'm going to go mental. Like, shut the fuck up and just deal with it. Like, that's part of the deal, is that if you get into contention, there's a lot more things going on. So, yeah, I didn't love that. I just dislike him because he's a European Ryder Cup guy, and I have to watch him kick our ass all the time. But yeah, that was not helpful. So a couple other things to highlight. Joel Dahmen gets a 9 under finish for the week. He finishes in a T10, so a good win for Joel Dahmen there. What else we got going? Oh, CT Pan had three different caddies on Sunday. Fluff Cowan, the longtime caddy for Jim Furyk, who previously caddied for Tiger Woods, has been on CT Pan's bag just recently. I guess there was a slip and fall on the third hole, so they got a fan in from just outside the ropes to carry his bag for a couple holes before I read an article that a member of the caddy services team, a gentleman by the name of Al Riddell, who lives nearby and also caddies regularly for Paul Barjon, Barjon, took over for the rest of the day. So I didn't know there was a caddy services team. That's something I found out today. When I was looking for that. So yeah, that was a very interesting thing. So we have Memorial this week, and then the U.S. Open next week. So today is actually the longest day in golf. They are doing all of the different qualifiers for the U.S. Open qualifying. They are all over the place. I'm just going to run through kind of where we're sitting right now. It's a little different this year in that the Columbus, Ohio one, which is usually a huge one, they're only competing for 5 spots there. You don't have all of the guys who were playing the Memorial just literally staying there after the week to then play in that qualifier. So, I mean, usually that thing's getting like 13 or 14 spots, but it looks like, a mini tour event at worst and, like a second tier PGA Tour event now that we've kind of gone and done the what do you want to call it? The elevated events versus the non-elevated events. So in Canada, Ontario, Canada, they got 7 spots there. Bud Colley currently in T7 there. He's a name you'll know. Matt Wallace, Adam Svensson competing there, who's just Keith Mitchell is inside the cut line Sam Ryder also there. So probably a couple of guys hung around there. Martin Laird, Stuart Sink in contention, Ches Reavy. You go over, we got Lake Merced Golf Club in Daly City, California. Just 4 spots open there. They're not through much of that. West Coast, there's still plenty there. Mike Weaver, an amateur. Preston Summerhays, another amateur in there. David Puig is someone else to look for. Not a ton of names there I recognize. The Bears Club in Jupiter, Florida. Daniel Berger had gotten out to a big lead earlier today there. He had shot 8 under or 7 under in the first round. I think he had it to as many as 8. He's fallen back a little bit, a couple over in his second round, relatively early. Matt Kuchar also in the top 5 there. Some other guys, Dean Burmeister and Charles Schwartzel, couple of live guys trying to qualify. They're currently involved. 5 spots there in Florida at the Bears Club. Patrick Rogers is a couple shots back. Anybody else kind of down the line? No, let's go to the next. We go to the Golf Club of Georgia, the Lakeside Course in Alpharetta, Georgia. Don't know any of these guys. Ollie Schneider-Johns is T5, 3 spots. He's a stroke out of the 3rd spot. Where's he at? About 9 holes to go for him. See if he can close down that. Then we got Woodmont Country Club in Rockville. Mark Leishman leading the way. Another name you may know. Mark Leishman. Kevin Chappell, 3 spots there. Kevin Chappell about 3 shots out of the last spot as we go through there. So yeah, it's very interesting to see these much more spread out across the board than what you would normally see because of the Memorial going on. Canoebrook Country Club in Summit, New Jersey, both the North and South courses. So it looks like they're going to do both courses in one day. Max Geiserman is your leader. He's a total of 10 under through about, 26 holes or so. Jim Herman and TJ Howe. Check it out, man. TJ Howe of Elkland, Pennsylvania, former NTL golfer, guy who went to Penn State. He shot a 67 in his first round. Looks like he's through 9 holes. He's 4 shots back of the final spot. Maybe he can get a big back 9 going for himself and sneak his way in. That's cool. TJ Howe. I went to college, my first year of college, with a guy he played high school basketball with, and at the time we're pretty good friends. That's cool. And he was a senior in the league when I was a freshman. He never once shot over par in that year and ended up winning the Pennsylvania State Championship, played golf at Penn State. So really cool. Glad I was just spinning through that and found him. That's cool. Duke University Golf Club, favorite golf course of friend of the show, Matt Wader. We got a couple of guys, Brian Campbell in the lead, a couple of guys right outside the line you've probably heard of. Spencer Levine, Chesson Hadley, Webb Simpson, Harry Higgs, all at 2 under, 1 shot back of the 3 under. They're all into about halfway into their second rounds as well. Anybody else kind of close to the lead here? Jamie Lovemark at 1 under, not too far out of that cut. Ohio State University, the Scarlet Course. This is, again, usually the one that's really, really popular. We got Bo Van Pelt, Seamus Power in the lead. Justin Lauer is leading there. Brendan Todd, Hayden Buckley, just on the outside. Andrew Putnam. Some names you may know. Luke List, 4 under, so 3 shots out of the cut. Johnny Vegas right there. Anybody else I see? Nope, that's about as deep as I'm going on that. I apparently opened Ohio State twice. And so we go to Springfield Country Club, Springfield. Or is this the one that's usually the big one? This one might be it. Adam Scott leads there. He started his second round. He's 7 under. They're going for 4 spots. Bo Hostler currently there. A big tie for second. Bo Hostler, Cameron Davis involved in that. Troy Merritt just outside. Zach Blair just 1 back of the T2. Anybody else? Robert Streb. He's a PGA Tour guy. William McGirt is just a couple shots back. Brian Stewart, Nick Hardy at 1 under. And you're starting to be wishing a little bit there. Oh, and then the final one, Bend, Oregon. Looks like they are just getting going on the round today. Davis Davis Bryant is currently in the lead. I don't see a bunch of names on here that I know. So yeah, that's always a fun thing to watch, and I'll kind of keep my eye on that as we go forward. So we got a fun week of golf coming. Memorial, usually a pretty darn good tournament, elevated event, and then that leads us right into the U.S. Open, where Scotty Scheffler will look to get back on the track. More Scotty Scheffler stuff to come in the episode. OWH Albums, next up, the album Audioslave by the supergroup of the same name, Audioslave. So Audioslave was a group formed in 2001. Chris Cornell was the lead singer. He came over had been out of the band Soundgarden at the time. And then he combined with, Tom Morello, Tim Comerford, and Brad Wilk of the band Rage Against the Machine. They had kind of broken up with their vocalist, Zach De La Rocha. And were kind of out in the world, and I guess they were brought together by, according to Wikipedia, as much as we can trust that, they were brought together by Rick Rubin, who kind of led them to each other, and formed this supergroup. Short-lived group. They only released 3 albums. They released an album in 2002, 2005, and 2006. But I think the best album, top to bottom, of those is their initial album, the self-named album, Audioslave. What is the word for this? There's a name. Oh, never mind. I thought it'd be right in here. But yeah, so I remember hearing this CD in, I want to say like 7th or 8th grade. I had a friend of mine who had this CD and introduced me to it. And it was so different than anything I'd ever heard. I talk about some of the songs, CDs that we've already talked about, the Third Eye Blinds, the Goo Goo Dolls, even Metallica, that I'd heard to this point. And Chris Cornell had such a unique, distinctive voice that just that alone was going to differentiate it. And then you combine it with kind of the different sound from the Rage Against the Machine sound that gets brought in. I don't even know if the right term is but the heavy riffs, like you can think of a Rage song, and then you think of the Audioslave sound, and it's unique, it's different. I'd never heard anything. I wasn't familiar with Rage Against the Machine at that time. I wasn't familiar with Soundgarden. I hadn't really dove in, experienced the whole grunge thing. It's a grunge thing. But yeah, I was in 7th grade, and the CD had come out, a year or two before, and it was so different from anything I've ever heard. I mean, it starts off with Cochise, and it's playing that, and that weird riff to start it off, and then Chris Cornell just comes in and blows you away. And I've since learned all about Chris Cornell's different, Soundgarden, Temple of the Dog, and I love it. I love Chris Cornell. He's one of my favorite vocalists and singers ever. And it was just the perfect meshing of two groups, a group and then a person together to form this unique sound and just really light the world on fire for me, for a 7th grade kid in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, who'd never heard anything like this. Now all of a sudden I'm listening to these incredible songs like Cochise to start the album, Show Me How to Live, which was a staple in the DMCW Engage intro package. Gasoline. I mean, I think the back end of the CD is just not as good once you get past Exploder, the last 5 songs. But the first 9 songs, Cochise, Show Me How to Live, Gasoline, What Are You, Like a Stone, Set It Off, which brings the heat. I think that was on a basketball warm-up CD I made. Shadow of the Sun, I Am the Highway, and then Exploder. Those are killer. Again, the back half isn't as good. And this one isn't so much of this is just a no-skip CD. This is just a CD that, again, just changed the way I looked at music. It was I didn't even know this was a thing out there. And again, I'm not some music savant who's diving into new music all the time. It takes me a while to find music. I'm late to the party much of the time. But this was, as a kid, it was, what are you in 7th grade? So that was probably 02, 03? I'm a little bit behind even getting to this one. And you're 12, 13, 14, that range. You're rebelling, you're setting off, you're trying to find the cool shit. And this was just the coolest shit. And then the friend that showed me the CD is no longer with us. I mean, so I always kind of, it's kind of just a nice memory of doing things with him and just listening to this badass CD, and cruising around with, somebody's parents, and somehow we just shoved Audioslave into the car CD player, and they'd be like, "What in the hell is going on?" And we were just trying to bump Audioslave as loud as we can, and it stayed with me all through high school and college, and I'd be like, "Oh fuck!" Every once in a while, you'd get somebody who loved Audioslave too. So this CD is just awesome. Again, my favorite songs off this one. It's hard to pick, any 2 or 3. I think there are like 4 that really 5 that stand above the rest. Cochise, Show Me How to Live, Like a Stone, Set It Off, and I Am the Highway. It's hard for me to pick any one of those as my favorite one single song, since I don't think we'll do either the other CDs, because I don't think as a whole they're that great. I think my favorite song that they ever did, I think my 2 favorite songs might be on the second album, but there's just not as much out there as Be Yourself and Doesn't Remind Me are probably my 2 favorite Audioslave songs, and it's just such a shame that they broke up so soon. There was a couple of rumors that they were possibly going to get back together in like 2017. Then unfortunately, Chris Cornell passed away, and we never got to see that, unfortunately. So this just lives as like a moment in time where this just awesome combining of 2 great musical acts came together and put together one of my favorite CDs and one of my favorite bands of all time. So Audioslave, what a killer CD. We're going to switch it back up. We're going to go back in time a little farther now. Something more to kind of my original, like kind of what I found into. We're going to do Matchbox 20. Their hit CD, You Yourself, or Something Like It, will be next week. So check that one out. Okay, on to the next. Time for some passing thoughts. All right. UFC 302 was this weekend. I did not watch, but a couple of things I think were worth noting. Dustin Poirier was unable to take down Islam Makhachev in the main event. He ended up being submitted with about 2:42 left to go in the 5th. I guess it was a pretty back and forth fight. Again, I didn't watch. I think Kevin Holland broke a guy's arm. And then Sean Strickland won a decision against Paulo Costa with some pretty fucked up scorecards, I believe. As you look at the scorecards here, Sean Strickland wins a split decision victory. On the first 2 scorecards, he wins 49-46. He loses the first round and then goes on to win the remaining 4. And then on the next card, he wins 50-45, so he wins all 5 rounds. The final scorecard by a gentleman by the name of Dave Tyrelli gives Paulo Costa the first 4 rounds and then Sean Strickland the last round for Paulo Costa to win 49-46. So I'm guessing when these scorecards were read out, it was read out, first off, your first card winner, 49-46, Sean Strickland. Next card, 49-46, and I have to imagine everyone in the world is expecting to say Sean Strickland, and they say Paulo Costa. I can't believe I haven't been able to find the card reading. But that's just absurd. How do you have 2 guys pretty much see the fight as one-sided for Sean Strickland, and someone sees it the complete opposite way? Now again, I know it's not just the overall fight. It's really possible. It is. I'm going to give this guy the benefit of the doubt. I haven't watched the fight. I'm guessing if I watched the fight, I'd have a different feeling. But it's possible that you can win rounds very, very closely and win a very, very close fight and the scorecards be really, really wide. But, man, UFC, not escaping the judging problem either. Maybe it's not just a boxing thing. It's more a boxing thing. But yeah, so UFC 302. Dustin Poirier hinted that he might retire, which would be unfortunate that he retires and never wins a title. He's awesome. He's one of my favorite fighters. I really enjoy watching him. Seems like a good dude. But yeah. I mentioned we talk about Scotty Scheffler again, and we're going to talk about Scotty Scheffler right now. Scotty Scheffler, all charges have been dropped. Another video released this week of Scotty Scheffler post-arrest, trying to explain to a police officer kind of the whole thing. And again, it didn't paint the Louisville PD in a good light again. It seemed like the officer and Scotty's lawyer said that this is why you never talk to cops. That the officer was really kind of giving some leading questions. It really seemed like Scotty, who was offering to try and talk to Officer Gillis and say, hey, I made him, there was a misunderstanding. This isn't what I want to happen. He mentioned something that Officer Gillis hits him. Either, I can't remember if it was with his flashlight or not. And then you have an incredible statement from Officer Gillis. First off, a tragic incident occurred, and the family of Mr. Mills remains in my family's thoughts and prayers. This was a chaotic situation for everyone involved. Ensuring the safety of everyone in the vicinity is my utmost priority. Mr. Scheffler and I both agree there will be no ill will over this going forward. Instead of giving a negative public reaction, he chose to speak with dignity, humility, and respect. My family and I appreciate that. It was unfortunate and disturbing to hear Steve Romines commentary today, that's Scotty's lawyer, today claiming that a false arrest was made, and for him to challenge my honesty and integrity. I think you've done yourself plenty of disfavors there. And I'd be surprised and disappointed if Mr. Scheffler actually had any part in making these statements. To be clear, I was drugged by the car. I went to the ground and received visible injuries to my knees and wrists. I am going to recover from it and will be okay. This is the extent of my commentary on the incident. The reality is that there's more important things in the world right now than back and forth over this. A person that lost his life that day and a family lost his loved one. At the end of the day, I take pride in working for the people in the community to preserve their safety. I've spent 2 decades trying to protect the city through some challenging times. I would like to do so without distraction caused by the serious events. Wish Scotty the best. Scotty Scheffler and his family the best. Sincerely, Brian Gillis. P.S. The department has us by P.S. Yes, the department has us by freaking $80 pants. To those concerns, they were indeed ruined. But Scotty, it's all good. I would have guessed I'd have the most famous pair of pants in the country for a few weeks because of this. Take care and be safe, Brian. Yikes. Not a great situation for Louisville. I can't believe it drug on as long as it did, but here we are, doing things. Why not? Other legal things. Donald Trump was convicted on 34 different counts of a felony in the trial concerning his hush money payments to Stormy Daniels, dating back to an alleged affair. I believe Donald Trump still maintains that didn't happen. Yeah, probably happened. But yeah, so he was convicted by a jury in the state of New York, I believe in New York City. The DA who brought it, Alvin Bragg, had actually even campaigned on the fact that he was going to try and bring down Donald Trump and bring charges against him. This seems not all above board, to say the least. Donald Trump, the still presumptive Republican Party presidential candidate, that'll, barring some crazy thing, will be cleared up in July, 3 days after his sentencing hearing, that is. But yeah, so he's convicted. He will be sentenced 3 days before the Republican National Convention because he paid hush money to someone to sign an NDA, which is not illegal. This is basically classifying how he classified the payments. I guess it was essentially classified as legal payments. And Michael Cohen, I believe at the time, I'm not totally up on this, Michael Cohen was then making the payments to Stormy Daniels. So there was a go-between, and then they say it's illegal because of something with campaign finance rules, and that he was trying to cover up something that would negatively affect his campaign, and thus where the crime is involved. If we think that's a real crime, whatever. If you truly believe that, okay. If you think Donald Trump's the only guy in politics who's ever paid someone to shut the fuck up, and you think that you should punish and prosecute them all right, fair be it, man. But, I'm of the belief that this is only happening because it's Donald Trump, and the establishment doesn't like him. You can disagree with me. That's fine. That's your opinion. My opinion is this wouldn't have happened otherwise. So, hey, speaking of politics, it was just another banner day. This is actually from a couple weeks ago. Another banner day for Congress and are these guys? No, they're congressmen. Yeah, Jasmine Crockett, AOC, and Marjorie Taylor Greene all went crazy lady in a hearing. It started with Marjorie Taylor Greene, who accused Jasmine Crockett of having fake eyelashes or something like that. To which Jasmine Crockett, who is a House of Representatives person from Texas, where is she at? She is the Texas 30th Congressional District. So Marjorie Taylor Greene accused her of having fake eyelashes and something, to which Jasmine Crockett shoots back something about her butch body. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the 14th Congressional District in Georgia. So these two fine ladies were just having at it in the middle of a hearing. AOC is trying to jump in to demand an apology. So real professional. And we wonder why people think that the federal government's a complete joke, or at least why I think it. I mean, if you want these three fucking idiots having anything to do with your life, I don't know what to tell you. They're so fucking stupid. They're having fucking a cat fight in Congress. Like, that is who you want making decisions about how the federal government spends money? If that is what you want, the federal government should have a budget way smaller than my household budget, because they're all fucking idiots. I wouldn't want them to try and figure out how to balance the budget of my home. Oh, you pay this much for your mortgage? Oh, okay. This is your carpet. Like, fuck that. They can't even. I don't think they're competent enough to do that. Idiots. I guess I got shit. There's probably two more political things. Kind of political. First, Pete Buttigieg was on a show. What is this show here? I don't even know what it is. Some show on Face the Nation with Margaret Brennan, who was asking him to explain why only 7 or 8 electric vehicle charging stations have been built, despite the Biden administration spending $7.5 billion to do that. I don't even remember what his answer was, because that's not even like the thing I'm most concerned of. I mean, there's probably a reason why there's been so much money spent and nothing's happened yet. Like, there's probably a lag in the time of, contracts and I don't know, whatever. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. It's fucking ridiculous in its own right, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. The thing I have a problem with is, how do we not know if it's 7 or 8? It's not like you have a fucking lot of them. Like, it's 7 or 8. Do you own 7 pairs of shoes or 8 pairs of shoes? Let me think. I have a pair of Hokas. I have a pair of Nikes. It's that fucking easy. Just count them. Oh, there's one in Chicago. How many offices are there? Oh, there's one in Chicago. There's one in New York. Like, figure it the fuck out. It's 7 or it's 8, not 7 or 8. Yikes. NFL kicker Brandon McManus has been accused of sexual assault by 2 women stemming from the alleged incident on the Jags team plane on a flight to London last year. It does not say 2 were back. He has been cut by the Washington Commanders. They're trying to stay far away from that, I can imagine. Sexual assault claims, not something they're probably looking to add on top of what they previously had. But I just didn't happen to see a lot of the same reactions from people blasted all over the internet that I saw when Harrison Butker made a couple of statements. And I think one incident slightly worse than what happened than the other. Just saying. What else we got? Oh, man, I had this thought the other day. So I'm 33 now, got a house, got a car, got a job. And I had someone call me for like an opinion at my job, like to like ask me something, like things that I would ask someone else. I feel like not that long ago. And I was like, man, what the fuck is going on? Like, how did this happen? Like, I feel like I'm still just like this 25-year-old kid who moved away from home and got my own apartment. And then like all of a sudden I look around, I'm like, I'm in this life where I've got a house and a dog and like people are calling me at work. And I'm like, how am I not just this still dumb 25-year-old kid who loves watching sports and playing video games and drinking too much beer on the weekend and like doing all this. And then at the same time, I drink a little too much beer on the weekend. And I wake up feeling pretty shitty, but like, I get like like lost in the fact that like, holy shit, like I'm in like I'm a middle-aged man. Like, is that what I'm a middle-aged man. I'm doing a podcast. Like, I'm not a middle-aged man. I'm just a child. I'm a child stuck in a man's body. Except when my body needs to perform athletically for my knee, which the knee saga got my MRI. I get the results, and they just send you like a kind of like a summary, like a report. It's like, oh yeah, total ACL tear. Your previous partial tear is now a total tear, and you have a large bucket tear in your meniscus. And I was like, oh shit. So I'm devastated because I've gotten back to a relatively normal life. I'm walking the dog, I'm mowing the yard, I'm playing golf, not quite running or anything, but I can ride a stationary bike, I can ride a real bike, like I can do a lot of things. Like my day-to-day life is not affected. If I need to carry something, I was carrying around bags of topsoil and different things of that nature when we were planting our garden and tilling up the garden and standing up on it and climbing up on it. So like I felt pretty good. And then I hear, total ACL tear. I'm like, oh shit. Now I'm thinking, I got surgery. I'm going to be laid up for like 9 months. That's going to suck. Like, and then I got a doctor comes in. She's like, oh yeah, your partial ACL tear might have been, a little exaggerated. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, then she reads the report because she had just looked at the MRI. She didn't want to bias herself against what really happened. And she's like, I don't necessarily agree that it's totally torn. So more doctor's appointments for me. I got a doctor's appointment with an orthopedic surgeon to get his advice. So, another month of PT and just trying to get back on. I've been doing so well at PT and they're all shocked, whatever. Knee saga. So that's your cue that you're not actually just a 25-year-old trapped in a 33-year-old's life. You're just a 33-year-old with a 33-year-old body and a 33-year-old's life. I'll end with this. There may be nothing. I really enjoy doing the pod. Sometimes it's a pain in the ass to fit in some time to do it, but for the most part, it's something I find very enjoyable, and I hope that my enjoyment is, passed on to you guys and you enjoy listening to it. But there's one thing I hate. I hate naming the pod and coming up with the description. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I've looked at like the AI that like the page I record on gives. I don't like that either. I fucking hate naming the pod. All right, let's go wrap this thing up. Losing time, everybody. As always, I just want to say thank you so much. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate the watchers that listen. So thank you. I really appreciate it. I just really do. Hopefully, guys are enjoying the show. I'm having fun. So hopefully that translates and you guys are having fun too. Back next week, more Guardians baseball. Memorial Tournament. We'll know who made the U.S. Open after the longest day in golf finishes up today. I believe we're having a baseball check-in with Ethan E. Sexton. So hopefully everyone turns in for that. As always, comment, subscribe, share. Comment, subscribe, share. What am I missing? Comment, subscribe, share. Rate and review. Thank you. Rate, review, comment, subscribe, share the pod. Liquid IV, 20% off. OWH is the promo code. Get it while it lasts. Till next week. Peace.